All right, guys. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and I'm gonna keep this short and simple for you guys. Obviously, it's a little bit more tricky than just a 10-minute presentation. Just FYI for you guys, there's been a lot of issues with the state rolling this program out. The intent is very, very good, but the way it was rolled out, is questionable, obviously, because there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on. There's not a lot of people that know how to navigate this issue. So let's dive into a little bit. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about my background, so you guys just have, get to know me a little bit more. I introduced myself. My name is Jaime Lopez. Just a little bit about myself. I'm actually a retired police officer. I actually served 15 years on the service, on the force protecting citizens of the city of Dinuba. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice management. I'm a business owner, along with my wife, and investor, and I am an insurance agent specializing in business savings. Just to give you an idea of why I specialize in that area. Well, first, my wife has a business. And so with that she comes from actually a family of business owners that all migrated here from Mexico. All but the baby are actually the baby's very successful as well, but the baby was born here. Other than that, all her aunts and uncles were born in Mexico, and they're all very successful business owners. So in speaking with them, and just discussing the various issues, and then having interactions with the Hispanic Foundation, we decided to just dive more into that. In my previous lifetime, or in previous life, I should say. There we go. For those of you guys that didn't believe I was a cop, here's some pictures of me. This first picture here is actually me of my retirement. This is me back when I worked detectives. I was a lot skinnier, younger, less stressed, as you could say. And then here's a picture where I received the medal for saving someone's life. I don't have this crazy story of I was chasing this guy 100 miles an hour, and then we had this foot pursuit for 5 miles, and I tired him out, and I caught him and I handcuffed him, took him to jail. Honestly, guys, this was reality. I saved someone's life, but I did get a lot of stuff from my coworkers, because cops have just this funny sense of humor. But essentially, there was a guy choking on a pork chop, and so I was the guy that got to save his life, and so they gave me a medal for that, which is actually pretty cool. The ceremony was actually. So now that you know a little bit about my I did while I was there, I was very interested in retirement. So I got to know my retirement and the state's retirement very, very well, which helped me a lot when I transitioned into to the private sector. So, and here you can see, this is my partner, Rudy. We have a lot of people here, just agents training, here in all these different photo shoots. We do, lunch and learns, webinars. We meet with business owners one-on-one. We do the best we can to provide, everyone that we meet the best resources, right? And the best source of information. So although I started in the cop world in law enforcement, just in my own personal retirement and then helping my coworkers, that helped me in my transition out of law enforcement into the civil sector. And I just built upon that, given that, like I had mentioned earlier, that my wife's family comes from, or my wife comes from her family's just a family of business owners. You kind of get the insights and the struggles of hey, there's this, there's that, how do I do this, and taxes, and got to pay so much to the government. There's always things coming out. And then this Title 21 was just one more thing to throw on top of the pile of things that business owners already do. And trust me, I know you guys are busy. I see it, within, my circle. When I talk to other business owners and we help them, that's one thing for them to worry about. And so we try to take the hassle out of everything when we do this. So what is Government Code Title 21? All right, this legislation, just so you know, just a little background on it. It actually passed in 2016. And like I said, it was a very, very good idea. But I just think the planning wasn't, it could have been better, right? There's always room for improvement, always. And who did it target? It targeted employers who do not sponsor an employee retirement plan. And when I say target, I don't mean like they're coming after you, although sometimes it seems that way. The idea was to help everyone else that isn't in the corporate world and being that's working, for small business owners that have a tough time with costs to provide retirement. Those were the business owners that were targeted, or even the bigger businesses or medium-sized businesses, I should say, that maybe didn't want to provide it, right? So it was a very good idea. And like I said, the way it was rolled out, where there's room for plenty of improvement. But the idea behind it is that every employee can have a retirement plan that is theirs, that they can use later on. Because let's face it, if we don't have our own retirement or investments, what do we have to retire on? Social Security, right? And who knows how that's going to go. So who does it affect the most? Employers, right? And here's what it says. Here's the mandate. If an employer does not sponsor an employee retirement plan, it must participate in a state-run retirement program. So the reason why they did it that way, and the reason why they facilitated CalSavers and this trust is many reasons. Some, we just don't know, because we're not, part of that legislation. But the main idea was to establish a fund that everyone can go to if they didn't have anything else, right? And that was the main reason behind it, and how it was structured for the state. Now, who does this affect? This affects every business with 5 employees or more, guys. So if you have 5 employees or more, it affects you. And how does it affect you? Just like this. So if you guys didn't get a letter, which you should have got something like this, right? If you received this, real quick, guys, I'll go back to the last slide. But if you received this, can you guys put like a thumbs up in the chat, just to let me know, who received it, who's familiar with it, because we're going to go over it a little bit here. So if you didn't receive that, you should have received it, and it's probably in your mail somewhere. And what we found is that a lot of business owners actually never even opened the letter. And so it's just like another thing from the state, right? Another notice. So, but here's where it affects small business owners this year. Okay, guys. So the registration deadline for employers with 5 or more employees was June 30th. Okay, that already passed. So we're in September. That was June 30th of this year. So that was 2 months ago. That already passed, guys. And it says you must register to avoid penalties, right? So it looks like they are going to give a little bit of leeway. We don't know, because, obviously it's the state, and they make the rules. So we just have to, we just have to obey them. So what we're hoping for is, because as of July 1st, there was still 45,000 businesses in California that had not registered, right? So just think about that. If you're handing out penalties to 45,000 employers, I mean, that's a lot of money generated. That's a lot of unnecessary fines for a business owner, right? And that's why we put this thing together with the Hispanic Foundation, is because, you know, we want to get you guys this information. And if you're already not in compliance, show you how you can get in compliance with the state mandates. So going back to this letter, guys, if you received it, you would have your business name here at the top. Oh, sorry. Where is it? Here it is. So you would have your business name at the top. You would have your address. And as you can see, it's got the seal of California. This is straight from the state treasurer's office. The most important information here, guys, is 2 parts. One is the access code, right? So everybody had an access code on their paper. And you need that access code to be able to go into the state's database and at least register your business, right? The other thing is the name on top. Okay, the name on top of the business. However they sent that name is if it's not accurate to what your business, the real name of your business is, it should be a red flag for you, because what we're finding out, and we have many clients that we're actually having to call the state on these issues because they cannot find the accounts. The access codes were wrong. The access codes were changed. Look at this. I'll point something out just so you guys have an idea. This was sent out June 10th. June 10th of this year, right? But you're required to register by June 30th. So let's just say it took you a few days to get it through the mail. In reality, you only now have 15 days to register, right? So, and that's why I said we're really hoping that they give some leeway to all the business owners, because it was very sudden, especially having rolled out 2 other phases the previous 2 years for the larger businesses and corporations. So just to give you a heads up, you know, you may have got this late. You may get a notice. Don't disregard it. Please don't disregard it. Open it up, find out what it is, and it's not going to go away, guys. So let's take care of it. So how do you do that? So these slides, guys, just as a disclaimer. So there's some screenshots and whatnot I took from the state's website just to kind of help me out and help you guys out to kind of get a better visual for things and to explain this stuff. So to the employers, registration is open for all employers. Use your access code. Again, we talked about the access code, right? So you need that access code to start facilitating CalSavers or exempt your business if you already offer a retirement plan, right? So if you are offering a retirement plan, you can actually exempt out of this. So, and I think here is in dealing with different agencies and even CPAs, there is some misunderstanding here, because if the consensus that we've gotten from the business owners that believe they're in compliance, they've literally just gone on and just opted out everyone. So, and I always pose this question because I actually talked to the state on numerous occasions. And one of the things that I asked them, I said, hey, so what happens, right, if an employer goes on here, exempts out, but they don't offer anything? And they said, well, they're not going to be in compliance, right? So there's a lot of business owners out there that believe that you can just go in here, opt out, and like, hey, you know, you're good, right? Just because the state website said congratulations for exempting out or whatever you did on that when you registered. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in compliance. So we got to remember that. So if you guys have done that, my contact information will be at the end, and we can talk about how we can fix that. But not only that, but if other business owners, right, your circle of business owner friends, we all talk about it. And if they've done that, make sure you let them know, because if they're not here on this webinar, they probably are not going to know. So if you look at here, it's register exempt, and in the second bar is a request access code. So what that is if you did not receive the letter, or you lost the letter, or your information is wrong, then you have to go through a series of troubleshooting steps. So you have to request an access code, because the only way that you can register is if you have an access code. So if for whatever reason any of those examples I gave is you, then it's a matter of calling the state, sending emails, sending off letters, and it's a pain. Let me tell you, it's a pain. And on top of your already busy schedule, it's just another headache that you have. So just something to take into consideration is, if you happen to have done this on your own, make sure that you are keeping all your documentation in order, because last thing you want is for the IRS to audit, and they will audit, or the state audit, I should say. And fines more than likely will come when you go file your taxes. So that's not even clear. You would be surprised how many of, I don't know, I'd say probably about of the close to 20 different people that I've spoken to, about 70%, 60 to 70% of the employees at the state gave me different answers for things. There was one person that I spoke to that was very, very, very knowledgeable. And so obviously I just asked away, because I want to make sure that, we're taking care of our clients, we're passing on the right information, because at the end of the day, we didn't necessarily vote for this, so it was passed, and we just have to follow the rules, right? So, but still, it doesn't mean that you just give money away. And if you are going to give it away, just give it to me. Okay. My kids got to go to college. So when you get on, guys, back to this CalSavers thing. When you get on, the first page is going to show you something like this, right? So you can get on, and just so you have an idea, you will need your federal ID number, and you're going to need the access code. Again, the access code is huge. Okay. If you don't have that access code, guess what? You're going to have to request one. And there's been many, many times where we've gotten notifications that the information doesn't match, right? And then that's a whole nother issue within itself. I am still trying to resolve issues with misinformation. I don't want to say misinformation, with the state having wrong information with some of these businesses as far as May, and we're still trying to clarify these issues to get them in compliance. So trust me, guys, it's tedious, and it takes a long time, especially when anytime, just for example, I used to work for government, right? So anytime that you deal with government or you deal with the state, it takes a long time. They're not on our time schedule, right? We're like, go, 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 go. I got to do this. I got to train employees. I got to, handle this complaint. I got to make sure I get to this customer. I got to pay these bills. I got to open. I got to close. I got to do this, and it just never ends, right? And they just don't seem to understand that. It's just a totally different schedule. So when you get in, guys, you will have to enter your company information. So it'll pull up your federal ID number automatically, and then you have to enter your business name, your business address, and where you're from. And that is actually pretty easy. Once you go in, you have two options. You're going to register, and you're going to register your business and register all your employees, and they're going to go into the system, and you're gonna have to provide a bunch of documentation to your employees if you're gonna participate in the state site, right? So, I would say of all the people that we met with, all our clients, business owners, a lot of people don't trust the state. So if there's another option, often they go with the other option. There are some people that, they want to use the state system. It was there for a reason. We get it. We're not here to argue any different, but there is other options out there. And once you go in and you register, then you start partaking in that system. So what happens? You have to set up your payroll to deal with the 5% deduction out of paychecks. So it comes out of every paycheck. And every time it's got to be calculated at 5%. And if you guys are like us, sometimes you have employees that aren't salaried, right? Or they work different hours. So what happens when they worked 15 hours one week and then 25 hours the following week, right? That 5% still has to be calculated. So the other option is if you go in and exempt because you are providing a different retirement option, which is allowed and which you are allowed to do, you go in and exempt, right? And this is where the miscommunication is happening. People are going in and just exempting their business so they don't get fined. And they're kind of just putting a Band-Aid on it, right? And they're not offering anything else. So that's not how the rules are. You have to offer a retirement plan, right? It's not that you have to pay for it, guys. And that's something that we always tell employees at our presentations. It's not that the boss has to pay for this plan. They just have to bring it to you guys, educate you guys, provide you your options, and then you guys get to select what you want to do, right? So we try to keep it very simple, and we always try to give praise to the business owner because as I see it, as probably many of you will see it, like just think about it. And if you're in the shoes of a business owner, right? A lot of times you kind of just want to get this taken care of, right? If somebody else can handle it, great. It's one less headache that you got to deal with. If you're going to handle it, then you just want to make sure you do it right. And then there's some business owners that just don't. It's just like here, like just I really don't care, and like hey, that's their prerogative. And you have other business owners that care, and they're like, hey, you know what? This is interesting. This is a good thing. And I'll give you a perfect example. I had a business owner that migrated here who is very, very successful, which is probably very similar to a lot of stories of you guys that are on this webinar. But he's very successful, migrated here with $150 from Asia. And he was actually stood up at one of our presentations and said, hey guys, I just want you to know when I came here with $150 in my pocket and just a dream, that's it. And, now if you fast forward 20 some years later, look at everything that I've been able to accomplish just being here, right? Because I acted and I did something and I chose to start saving money. And he said, if I would have never saved money, none of this would have been possible. The store, this businesses, my other businesses, my investments, my portfolio, none of this would have been possible if I wouldn't have just started saving just a little bit. And he says, you know what? Pocket money is good. We spend pocket money to buy things, but you need to spend pocket money to also save. So a portion is to save, a portion is to obviously live, right? And he made it very simple for them. And it was actually a very nice to have him stand in front, of the crowd as well, and kind of just give a little bit of his backstory, which they probably didn't even know. All right, guys. So here is, I want to touch on this real quick. Here is on that paper. Let's see. On that paper that I showed you that had the access code, on the second page, there is some fine print. And the fine print says this: IRAs are not exclusive to CalSavers and can be obtained outside of the program and contributed to outside of payroll deduction. Contributing to a CalSavers IRA through payroll deduction may offer some tax benefits and consequences. However, not everyone is eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA, and savers should consult a tax or financial advisor if they have any questions related to taxes or investments. And the reason why they put that disclaimer in there, guys, is just, and it's always in the small fine print, right? Because they want to let you know, or at least have a way to say, hey, well, we let you know that you could actually go outside, right? You can go outside of the program. We just created this program, but the idea is like, hey, you have to partake in this program, which is not the case. The other thing is what CalSavers is offering is actually a Roth IRA. That's what CalSavers is. It's a Roth IRA, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard of it. And if you haven't, like I said, at the end of this presentation, you guys could reach out to me, and then we can discuss how we can educate you a little bit on that. Now what happens if you make a lot of money? All right, let's just say you make a lot of money in your business and you claim as income. Can you, how much can you put in a Roth IRA? Well, you can only put $6,000 a year in a Roth IRA unless you're over 50, then it's 7,000, right? And what if you make too much money that you get phased out and you can't even participate in a Roth IRA, right? So there's a lot of things and a lot of questions and a lot of detail in this this retirement stuff, especially when it's structured around business owners. How do you get in compliance? How do you save money? How do you reduce your tax liability? How do you put more money away for yourself, right? So these are all things that we should be asking ourselves if you're not already. And that's one of the things that we do. So what qualifies a business owner for an exemption? So here are, these things, I don't know if it's my internet or my screen here. All right, so here are the 6 reasons why you can exempt out of a plan, right? So you remember I mentioned that, earlier that it's not just about exempting and boom, paperwork's done, it's gone, I'm out of here, I don't have to worry about it anymore, right? So if the IRS comes to you, or the state, I should say the state, I keep saying the IRS, like I said, the state has a right to audit you, right? Because this is a law. So if the state comes to you and requests information like, hey, we see you exempted out of here, what did you offer your employees? Right? And they say, oh, well, we didn't offer nothing, they just all opted out. Like, okay, like, well, did they even know their options, right? And can you provide us proof of that? So, and then what if they take it a step further, right? What if they don't believe you? And because I'm sure everybody has had inquiries from the state, more specifically the IRS, and they typically they don't take your word, right, as truth. They want proof, right? So what are you going to provide? And what if they go a step further and they actually talk to your employees, right? Because those forms that you sign and send in have a phone number. So what if they call the employee and they say, hey, Mr. Employee, I'm calling because you work at ABC Company, all right? Just made up name. We see that you decided not to partake in a retirement plan. Did your employer offer you a retirement plan or different options? Do you know what CalSavers is? And guess what? I can't tell you how many of our agents have talked to employees and they don't even know what CalSavers is. And their answer is like, oh yeah, my boss just had me sign this form and we turned it in. He said he needed it. And they don't even bother reading it. So what happens if now you raise suspicion and they want to actually come in and audit you, right? So just keep in mind that these are the reasons why you can exempt out. That's if you are providing a 401A, a qualified plan, profit sharing, a 401k plan, right, including multiple employer plan or pooled employer plans, 403 plans, qualified annuity plans, 408K, simplified employee pension plans, right? Also known as SEP plans. 408P, savings incentive match plans for employees of small employers, also known as a simple IRA plan. Or a payroll deduction IRA must have automatic enrollment, right? Because one of the mandates in the state that is if an employee does not respond, does not make a decision within 30 days, right? 30 days, they must automatically be enrolled into the CalSavers program. So it's important for your employees to make a decision, right? Because at the end of the day, who are they going to find? Are they going to find the employee or the employer, right? Obviously, they're going to find the employer. So if you haven't heard of any of these plans, it's in your best interest to find out, because as of right now, a lot of people don't like to work, and those employees that are out there that are good employees, they typically don't want to leave their employer unless they're going to something better, right? And so I think business owners are realizing that, and if you're at the level where you can provide a little extra, right? These right here are definitely good tools for you to have as incentives to your employees, right? Because if you're paying, let's just say, I mean, minimum wage is like 15, probably going to be $40 an hour here next year. But let's just say your employee is making $15 an hour, or let's just say 20, right? You're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay extra because I want to keep my employee. You're paying them $20 an hour, and the next guy says, hey, come work for me. I see you're a good worker. I'll pay you $20 an hour. I'm like, oh, why? That's what I make now. Why am I going to change? Oh, but I offer retirement over here. Oh, really? So what is that? How does that work? And they start explaining, well, I mean, you run the chance of losing an employee, right? Especially if he's a very good employee. So it's just some things to keep in mind there, guys. And that's a whole nother webinar or sit down information or a seminar we can do on those topics. But here is what the state is doing. They're doing the payroll deducted IRA, right? All right, so what happens if you don't comply? It's a big question, right? Like, ooh, the state's gonna do something to me. What are they gonna do? They're gonna fine me. How much are you gonna fine me? All right, the authorizing legislation passed in 2016 established that non-compliant employers, right? So if you're not in compliant, you're an employer and you're not in compliant, the penalty is $250 per employee for the first penalty notice. If non-compliance persists another 90 days, an additional $500 per employee, for a total of $750 per employee for non-compliance. So something to think about. So let's give you an example. For a business owner with 20 employees, right? So if you're in a business, I know some of you guys have more, some of you guys have less, right? Let's just use 20. Typically a restaurant, decent size is going to run with at least 20 employees. So if you have 20 employees, right, and you're not in compliance and you hit your first round of non-compliance, that is $5,000 racked up to the state, right? If you continue to not be in compliance and you hit with a second round of fines, right, a total of $750 per employee, at 20 employees, that's $15,000. So like I said, I don't know how you guys are. I don't like giving money away just like that. I work hard. My wife works very, very hard, and I'm sure you guys work very hard. If you are just going to give $15,000 away, like I said, my kids need to go to college. So no, I'm just kidding. But no, there's better things that we can do with $15,000, right? So, I mean, it's investment in your business, right? It's a vacation with your family. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's not chump change, $15,000, especially when you're working every day long hours. All right, so we're just about done here, but I want to touch on this real quick. as a business owner, who do we rely on the most, right? Some of us rely on our spouses. Some of us rely on family. Some of us rely on attorneys. But I know most of us, right? Most of us probably rely on our CPAs, right? They get the headache of all the numbers and everything else out of the way. So oftentimes a response from a business owner is like, hey, my CPA handles all of that. Talk to my CPA, right? Because it's just too much for them. They want to focus on running the business, and I get it. So, but what we've experienced is this, is that many CPAs do not know how to navigate this new mandate or do not want to deal with it. There was CPAs that I was speaking to with in June, just because we were trying to establish those relationships and get that information out to education, that hadn't even like looked into it. So, and that was kind of across the board. It was about half and half, or maybe a little bit more than half that either didn't know how or didn't want to, right? And then there were some CPAs that actually did a good job. You know, talk to them like, oh yes, I did this and that, and like, hey, awesome, right? So they, you know, obviously they didn't need any help. They're good. And then there's some payroll companies that actually took initiative and then went out there and helped out their business, right? Some business owners are okay with that, right? But if you're one of those business owners that were okay with it, if you have a very, very good payroll company, you probably had very little fees or low fees. But we have seen very high fees, high setup fees, as much as $4,000 to set up a business, and then monthly fees and check fees, right? So every time they cut a check and they got to send off this check to the state, they charge you, right? $5 or $6 a check. So these are fees on top of, right? And so once you're adding fees on top of fees on top of fees, guess what? You know, it's kind of just disheartening sometimes, right? So, so we definitely kept this in mind, you know, when we're out there talking to the business, right? These business owners, which is good news for you, right? Because we're here to help. You know, like today, you know, we don't charge for this stuff. So, you know, we're here to help you. We're here to educate. You know, we believe in building long-lasting partnerships and relationships. So, I mean, you just never know who you're gonna meet that needs a little bit of you, and you need a little bit of that. You know what I mean? So at the end of it, you know, I think if we all help each other, it goes full circle. And then, you know, we can help you guys get in compliance. Hey, maybe you guys even teach us something that we haven't come across yet in your situation through your business, right? So let me let someone in. All right, guys. So here's my contact info. What I would like for everyone to do is, if you have your phone in front of you, please put in my number. Save it. If you want to text me, you know, I do respond to text messages. And even if you wanted to right now, because I know how it goes, is once you leave this webinar, it's back to business, right? So if you want to, you know, enter my number, send me a text message. If you send me a text message, please send me your name, your business name, and then what city you're in. Okay, and I will respond to you, I promise, right? Even if you just want to say hi, or if you need some help, either way, let me know. This is my email here. So jlopez@teachers, plural, rs.com. I don't know why that chopped there, but it did. jlopez@teachersrs.com. Yes, we do educate teachers as well. So, all right. So now for some questions and answers. So let's see. I know Nelly said, if you guys have any questions, please post in the chat. Let's see.
Can I
Hola.
actually just ask the question because I'm driving?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I actually had my payroll company who called me and told me that I would have to do this because I have more than 5 employees, and they were charging me a setup fee of $1,500 and then $8 per check for every employee. Now, so I called the IRS, but I was never able to get through to them. And then they were, so can you actually, how much would the setup fee if you, so you help us business owners and would you charge or?
No, we don't. We don't charge, right, for our services to go out. And there's a number of ways that we can structure this. Like ultimately, the final decision is on the employee, right? If the employee absolutely wants to do a payroll deducted out of their check, then we got to do that, right? But often what we're finding is that a lot of employees prefer not to do that because they often switch employers, right? And so, you know, just like that, the fine print in that flyer from the state said that you can, you know, outside, you are able to contribute to your Roth IRA outside of the program, and that's what a lot of people choose to do. Now, for a business owner, that helps them a lot with the headache because guess what? You got the employee the information, right? They wanted to partake in the Roth IRA, but they chose to do it privately instead of being payroll deducted, right? If that's the case, then it's, you know, great for you. You know, great for you because it's one less person that you got to run through payroll, and it's one less cost that you got to go through payroll, right? Like I said, if they choose they want to pay payroll deducted through the check, you know, we're not going to tell them like, no, you can't do that, you know, because that's not the idea. The idea is like some people, and it's few that absolutely cannot save unless it's taken out of their check, right?
So,
So
so sorry to cut you off. So there's a lot of terminology that I don't understand that you're saying. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and get a hold of you. But just to make that answer so I understand is you can help me stay in compliance and it's not going to cost me a thing.
correct.
Okay. I will be reaching out to you. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I see Lizette's message on here. I'm just gonna save her email real quick. Because she is Spanish speaking, and yes, we are gonna do this in Spanish. So por todos aquí que están que hablan español, sí lo vamos a hacer en español, pero va a ser en persona. And I think that's the direction that we're going. So let's see. Sorry guys, I just want to get this before it deletes, so I can send her info. Nelly, too, if you can make sure we get that info to Lisette.
Yeah, I have her email down as well.
Oh, okay, awesome. All right, let's go. Let's see. Maria says thank you. Do you have? Does anyone else have any questions?
Hi, Mitt. So I have a question. It's Melissa. So, I have a business that is getting in compliance, but as we speak right now, he is being charged with payroll, taking the 5% out already. Will we take care of that for him to get him off of the 5% so they're not taking from his employees anymore, because we are getting them in compliance and they are being taken care of by us? Will we take care of all that for him?
Yeah, we can take care of all of that for him. You know, we'll just give him the right information. What's happening to some businesses is they're just enrolling everybody, and everybody's getting money taken out of the check, right? And not everybody's okay with it, which you're not supposed to do anyway. So I mean, you should have their consent because, you know, technically they have the consent to this stuff.
Right.
So that has happened. We have come across that issue and rectified it. But yes, it's just a matter of getting that business owner the correct information. And yes, you are allowed to opt out of the state program at any time, and you can opt back in at any time. So there is ways to do it. I'll talk to you about that, and then we can go ahead and get that information to that business owner.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I actually, I have, let's see, so as long as we have proof we are offering CalSavers, we can exempt from this. For example, if employee agrees they aren't interested, can we have them sign a document? Also, would this be enough proof? That is not necessarily set in concrete, Lupita. What a lot of business owners are doing just to be safe is, if that is the case and they did go that route, they are also bringing in a third party, just like myself, and actually explaining what CalSavers is. So I would say the best thing to do to cover yourself would be to use a third party to explain CalSavers, right? And to explain other options, what they have available to them. And that's what we do. So when we turn in a packet to a business owner, we provide all that proof. And I'm talking about like, you guys probably didn't think about this, but we actually come into the business, an employer will actually pay them for at least 15 minutes. So oftentimes they'll like come in early or after work. We'll do like multiple presentations for businesses. Just because, we understand that like things aren't cheap, right? The cost of everything has gone up. So the least amount of time that we can take out of your payroll, your time on the clock that you pay to these employees, the better for you, right? So we literally come in about 15 minutes. We're able to cover all these topics, right? And we have everyone sign in on a log. It's dated. It's got all your information on it. And we reach out to everyone, and they all sign paperwork, whether they decide to get something or to decide not to get anything, right? So we compile everything in this entire log, including the registration, right? Like that screen that you saw earlier said, congratulations, you're exempted out, right? We provide all that proof in a packet, and then we give it to the business owner, right? So Lupita, so if you're asked by the state, like, hey, did you offer anything? You're like, oh yeah, I had them sign this document. Nobody wanted to sign up, right? Would that be enough proof? It could be, but we don't know, right? Anything with the state, I mean, we just don't know because it's so new, right? I think after this year, and once fines are out and there's enough time to do audits, we will find out more to see exactly what is considered enough proof, right? But why risk it? Why risk it? Why not have everything explained? CalSavers, private party IRAs and other options, and get everything compiled in a packet and then turned over to you. And guess what? So what happens if they come out of you? You say, hey, look, I paid my employees on the clock to meet with this company, and they came in and they educated them on everything. This is everything that they left me. This is the decisions my employees made. Here's the entire packet, right? So you have to, in good faith, try to provide them something, or at least an option, right? So is that not good faith enough? Like, you paid your employees on the clock to get educated about this stuff? I would say that's definitely enough proof. So I hope that answers your question, Lupita. And here's, I got some, so actually from the state website, right? This is actually from the state's website. So I some of the questions, like question and answer, troubleshooting stuff, things that are unclear, questions that come up. So this has come up quite a bit, right? Are all employees eligible for the program, and when do employees become eligible, right? A lot of employers were saying, oh, well, I only have part-time employees, right? All employees of a participating employer are eligible as long as they are at least age 18 and have the status of an employee under California law, right? Obviously, if you're paying someone under the table, nobody knows, and I'm not, that stuff has repercussions too. But if they are on payroll, right, and they're an employee, and you have yourself protected, right, because at the end of the day, you know, there's liability in not having somebody on payroll. There are no minimum requirements based on hours worked or tenure with their employer, right? So it doesn't matter if you're part-time or full-time, right? There are no minimum requirements based on hours worked. Okay, when are employees required to register? There was a 3-year phase rollout for CalSavers program, right? It hit the bigger corporations September 30th of 2020. And then it hit the medium-sized businesses June 30th of last year. And then this year, it hit all the small businesses with 5 employees or more, right? So, and here it says, if they are out of compliance, you must register immediately or face enforcement action, which will include financial penalties. So I'm not making this stuff up, guys. This is actually from the state website. How often do I need to send the contributions in? All right, contributions must be submitted to the program for each paycheck and remitted within 7 days of taking the deduction out of the participating employee's paycheck. Okay, so just so you guys have an idea. Are there penalties for non-compliance? Yes, per government code section 100,033 section B, each eligible employer that without good cause fails to allow its eligible employees to participate in CalSavers on or before the 90 days after service of notice of its failure to comply shall pay a penalty of $250 per eligible employee for non-compliance. And if it extends past 80 days, right, or 90 days, and found to be in non-compliance 180 days or more after the notice, there's an additional $500. Okay, so this is straight from the state website. That's their guidelines. It's not my guidelines, guys. You know, like I said, you know, people often say like, hey, life's a game, right? So is being a business owner. Business owner is a game, right? You have to know the rules of the game to be able to play the game. And you're learning the rules today, right? Because if you don't know these rules and guess what, you don't do anything, you're gonna get hit with fines, right? And if you're getting hit with fines, you're probably not winning the game. So, and that's you know, the idea of today's webinar, to get you guys this information. That way you guys have it, right? And you guys can also spread that information, that little bit of knowledge that we got today to your friends. That way you know they're in compliance, right? Or at least you can help them get in compliance. All right, does anybody else have any more questions? Natalie, do you have any questions?
I did, just about the Spanish workshop. You said that was going to be in person?
I think when we spoke to, I think it was Sandra, she was wanting to do something in person. So we're all for it, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter to us. You know, I do like in person more. It's just, you know, obviously it's kind of like how we used to live, right?
Yeah.
Before Zoom. You know, it's in person. You actually get to, you know, meet people, see them eye to eye. And, you know, you're there for, you know, it's like you're in their grasp for them to ask you any questions they may ask you, you know.
Okay, great. I'll follow up with her then.
Okay.
But other than that, I didn't have any questions. Thank you so much for all of this great information.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it helps all of you guys out just a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. And then I also do want to let everybody know that next Friday we'll be having another webinar. It's a legal webinar. It's 7 legal tips for home-based businesses. So we will send out a flyer for that as well.
Awesome. All right, that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you so much. And then we'll keep in contact for that in-person workshop in Spanish.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.